Hey guys. I've had a lot of people ask me to kind of give my background and who I am and just kind of different things about me. So I'm going to give you kind of a background of where I came from and who I am and a little bit of my experience in the sports world and kind of how I got to where I am today. So I'll start off by saying that I was born and raised in San Diego, California. I played golf all 4 years of high school. I was class president. I worked at Starbucks. Did the whole grind of doing college, or not college, doing the whole grind of high school things and kind of just going to basketball games, going to football games. I did cheer for 2 years. I like to say I played soccer, but wasn't the best. Yeah, so high school was good, had good friends, made some really good best friends, and still stay in contact with most of them, and that's kind of just how high school goes. So when I was a senior in high school, I got recruited by the University of Colorado Springs to play golf. I had already kind of committed to go to Cal State Fullerton, but the coach kind of reached out to me, and it just seemed like a perfect match. They had sports management, which I really wanted, and everything that I was looking for in a school. So I decided to not go to Cal State Fullerton and decided that the University of Colorado was kind of the school for me. I went to UCCS, played my freshman year college golf, and I was in the sports management program. And if you know anything about the University of Colorado Springs location in the sports management program, it's an amazing program. I personally loved it. I know some people have different experiences, and if you're looking to kind of go the professional route, there's different opportunities just because Colorado Springs doesn't necessarily have a lot. If you want to look into the Olympic Training Center in the Olympics and that's something that you love, like this is 100,000% something that would be good for you just because, yeah. I did an internship with Glacier Football Clinics at the time, and now they're just Glacier Clinics. Did a lot of hotel analysis, and it was basically setting up clients for going to these different clinics around the nation. So interned there for, I want to say like 5 months. It was fun, but I don't think it was like really what I wanted to do. And so I kept looking for internships that I wanted to do. And then I interned for, I think, about 2 years with the Air Force Academy. I helped on their football team, and I helped on their basketball team, women's and men's basketball. And I basically just did marketing and promotions with them. And that's just like what you see happening on the field or on the court, just different things that were happening during the game, those in-game promotions and passing out coupons and bringing contestants down. So that was super fun, and obviously, like, you got to watch the football games from field level, so what's cooler than that? So that was a super fun experience. And then my junior year, I met a man named Chris Carrico. I worked at Chick-fil-A at the time. I met him through the drive-thru. Back up a little bit. I went to high school with this girl named Stormy, and Stormy was the broadcaster for Mountain West Athletics. And this guy, Chris, came through the drive-thru one time, and he was wearing a Mountain West, jacket, and I kind of made the connection and trying to create that small talk like you're supposed to do at Chick-fil-A, and basically just brought up like, oh, do you know Stormy? And he did, and we got to talking. I ended up seeing him at a networking night that we had at the college, and we just kind of connected, and he actually connected me with my boss, who was at the time Chris Phillips, for the Sky Sox. So he introduced me to Chris, and I interviewed for the Sky Sox for an internship with the promotions and corporate sales team, and got the job, obviously, and did my internship, and honestly, it was the most fun I've ever had on an internship, and that's kind of when I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I always thought I wanted to work in football, but after working a season baseball, it was kind of just like, okay, no, I think I want to do baseball. I mean, nothing against football. Nothing against hockey or basketball either, but I don't really know anything about those sports. Enough to like say that I'm passionate about it, and I'm sure I would love it, but baseball is seriously like the coolest sport to work for. I mean, we work long days, but it's super rewarding. And so back up. Did my internship, ended in like September. I felt like I hadn't learned everything I wanted to learn. Obviously, I worked a lot during the season, but I felt like there was more that I could learn, especially on the sales side of things. And I know a lot of people are kind of turned off by sales, but my dad works in sales, and I think it's just something that kind of like I've always kind of thought I would want to do, but definitely wanted to try and see what it would be like. So I asked my boss, Chris, at the time, like, hey, is there any way I can kind of shadow you and learn a little bit more about sales? Because obviously this is something I'm super interested in. And so he was like, yeah, like, let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can get you involved kind of thing. And then that's kind of when I started working, I want to say part-time, full-time, because I wasn't really full-time, but I was there about 30, 35 hours a week. Worked alongside Chris, and literally he taught me, like, everything he knows, or at least, like, everything I could try to pick up on. Super, super crazy good mentor. I mean, like, if you ever want to learn something in sales, especially corporate, like, Chris Phillips probably knows more than any human being ever. And I'm just saying that, and he'll probably never see this video because he doesn't even know how YouTube works. But I'm just saying that because I really do believe that. So he mentored me, and I learned everything from him from the beginning. Obviously, I had a lot of help from Tony, who was our president, and Kyle, who's marketing, and Ben, who did our promotions. But Chris was kind of that person, like my go-to guy. And so learned everything in sales that I could. I was definitely, I mean, looking back on it, looking at, and I'm not saying I'm a good salesperson now, but looking back on how bad I was when I first started, it's kind of crazy to see where you start. And then come, full circle a year later to kind of see how much you've progressed in a year. And sales is definitely something that you have to learn in sports, or at least I think it's important. So learn sales, and then, worked that full season and basically did the same stuff I did the year before as far as the promotions team. I got the super cool executive intern title, even though I wasn't technically an intern. Everyone else that was an intern at the time would probably tell you differently, but whatever, Dan Sarna. So yeah, I did that, and then, worked another off season and did that. And then the whole Amarillo thing came about, and everyone was talking about it and kind of what's going to happen, who's going to go where, like, is Tony going to ask me to go down with him, or would it be better for me to stay here? And kind of just figuring out what was going to be best for the team and what was going to be best for everyone that was working in each team and what was going to make the most sense. I don't even know, like November time, I guess. Tony asked if, it might have even been, no, it's probably November, maybe December. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Tony asked me if I would want to kind of go down, and when I had heard about everyone kind of moving down, I figured like July, August, I don't know. I was just making up a time in my head. And so I was like, okay, like I have like 6 more months. And when we sat down and he talked about me kind of moving down here, it was like, okay, well, I want you to move in February. And like for me, it was kind of a shock because Colorado Springs was kind of all I knew as far as, it was the first place I moved away to, and where I was really like involved in school and did all these internships, volunteered at all these sporting events, and it was kind of like everything that I knew about myself, really. And so it was kind of I wouldn't say hard decision, because obviously this is like the greatest thing ever, but it was a decision that was kind of out of my comfort zone, I guess you could say. But honestly, like, the best decision I've ever made all my life. Amarillo is seriously, like, great. Everyone here is, like, amazing. Yeah, fast forward, I moved here actually in, like, March, and I've been here for about 2 months now. Been working, kind of helping set up our offices, helping really anything Tony needs down in Amarillo, and really kind of just doing whatever I can to help out this team. I'm in charge of promotions and community relations down here, and right now we're going through a name the team contest. I feel like I've kind of gone in like 12 different routes and ways, and sorry, I'm ranting in different things. But yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about my background. So one of the questions I got is, what is the education required in this field? I guess it's hard to say because it depends which, like, obviously if you want to work in baseball, like, I mean, anywhere you work in sports, you're going to probably need your bachelor's degree. But when it comes to, like, what kind of degree that is, I personally recommend something that's sports management based, because that's probably what these sports businesses are going to be looking for. But honestly, beyond anything, that experience is more important than the bachelor's degree. That's kind of how I got where I am. Tony and Chris and everyone that hired me wasn't really concerned about where I got my degree from, or, what, because I double majored in sports management and marketing, and, that wasn't something that they're like, oh, okay, you double majored, but this person didn't, like, we're going to hire you. It was the fact that I had interned with them, that they kind of took me, not more seriously, but took me into a more full-time position, because they knew I could do the job. So people who actually have internships in baseball or have internships in sports are more likely to probably get hired on full-time, just because, you kind of have to do it. You kind of have to have those internships. I know some people are like, internships, like you're the bottom of the food chain. Yeah, you're the bottom of the food chain, whatever. But hopefully an industry doesn't, or an organization doesn't treat you like that, and I don't think that's how we ever treated our interns. At least I didn't feel like I guess times you do, but that's because you are, realistically. You're just an intern, you're not full-time. And I know that was another question, is like, what kind of advice do you have for someone who's trying to get in the industry? And like, I couldn't say this enough, but like, experience and internships and doing anything you can to kind of get out into the field that you're looking into. And not only is it important to have that experience, but it's super important for the fact that, like, when I started my internships, I thought I wanted to work in football. Like, I swore I was a huge Chargers fan, and like San Diego, obviously they're not in San Diego anymore, but I wanted to work in football so bad. But then I worked my first internship in baseball, and that's kind of when everything changed. And that's the other part of, like, trying out the internships. Like, say you want to work in baseball, but you're not sure, like, what you want to do. Like, maybe you think you want to do ticketing. Maybe you think you want to do corporate sales. I never imagined myself loving corporate sales, or even loving sales. But after being able to have the opportunity in sales, it's like, okay, I love doing this, and I want to get better at it. So doing those internships are really important to kind of figure out what you like to do, and what you might be good at. Because maybe you go into something saying, everybody wants to do PR. I want to do PR. I want to do communications. And then you get into it and you're like, this is not what I expected it to be like. And then you get a taste of, ticketing, and you're like, this is what I want to do. So that's like super important to kind of figure out what you might want to do. And that's why internships are important, because, yeah. Yep. But, honestly, baseball, and this is, someone asked, like, what my days are like. No 2 days in baseball will ever be the same. Like, there was days where we were pulling tarp, like, 7 times in a day to, like, clean the field, and whatever. And then the next day, it's sunny, and, a month before, we were shoveling snow off of the field because it had just snowed, and then we end up playing that game that night. Or we have concerts, or we have events going on, or, we're taking our mascot out and going to schools, or whatever that looks. Everything is it just depends on the day and what's happening, which is super fun, because I love being able to just do different things every single day. And also on that note, yes, we work super long days. During a homestand, we're working probably like 60 hours a week. But realistically, like, you're getting paid to work in baseball. Like, how cool is that? I don't know. But like, I don't want to say anybody who complains, because there's times where, the homestand just gets to you. But it is such a cool opportunity, and there's so many people that just want to, like, come into this industry, but they didn't have an opportunity. They weren't able to get an internship because somebody else got it, or whatever that means. But, there's, like, hundreds and hundreds of kids, students, I want to say thousands, but I'm not really sure. Tons of people who want to be in this industry, but can't get their foot in the door. So if you have an opportunity to get an internship, like, do it, 100%, because it's going to pay off. And I want to say, like, 90% of the people who work full-time, for any of the staffs I know, started with an internship. Like, it's just kind of, like, necessary. But it's good, and it's fun. And, to this day, I'm still, like, talking about, like, stories from my internship, which I act like that was, like, forever ago, because whatever, but it wasn't. I'm only 23, so I can't really say that, like, I have a lot of experience, but I definitely think I have more experience than where I was, like 4 years ago. And I would have never, ever pictured myself in Amarillo, Texas, opening up a brand new ballpark and helping. I don't know. It's like the coolest thing, though. It's just, you meet the coolest people, and it's just, everything about it is just, yeah, it's great. But I know I got a couple other questions, but I'll probably just do another video for questions and answers if you have any. Yeah. So that's me in a little nutshell. I know that was kind of long, but if you guys have any questions or you want to reach out to me directly, you know where to find me. Yeah. So I am sure I will be making another video soon.